In today's video, we're going to talk about behavior-driven development. And so behavior-driven development in Selenium automation. So in today's video, we're going to first give an introduction about what behavior-driven development is, and then I'll show you some code that we can use to do this. So first, what is behavior-driven development? I'll just say BDD for short. And so this is largely facilitated using a simple domain-specific language and using natural language constructs that can express the behavior and expected outcome. So what do I mean by this? Well, you're basically using English sentences to describe what you're doing and then what you're expecting from what you're doing. So for this, we can use Cucumber Gherkin. And in Cucumber Gherkin, we have these keywords called given, when, then, and. And like the English language, these keywords state the situation, what you're doing, and what you should expect. So an example of a test case in Cucumber Gherkin, which is a feature file, is like this one. So this is a scenario where you want to search for golf by name. So given I open the browser, when I go to this URL and I type this in the search box, then I should see golf course Tiger Golf. And so this is just expressing what we're seeing in the simple English language. So this is typically the workflow. We have communication among QAs, developers, and clients, and then we directly implement that into test cases that are similar to English sentences. And then we can run Cucumber tests. We can specify specific definitions, like specific functions, and then we can put it into our Selenium Python project. So this all comes together in one project, which I'll show you later on. So how do you set up BDD in Selenium Python automation? Well, first, I'll show you how to do this from step by step, but you'll have to create a new project, and then you'll have to run some commands in the terminal. So some things that you have to do is you have to install Selenium, you have to install Behave. These are the two packages that you have to install. And then some other things, this will be to run the test later on. But let me show you what the project structure will look like. So this is what the project structure will look like. We'll have one folder for the features, and we'll specify the different features here. And so the features will basically be the Cucumber Gherkin files that we had earlier. So with the keywords given, then, and then when. And then we have a steps file, which will basically specify each little step functions in our workflow from before, and then we'll have a test run and an environment file, which I'll show you all later on in the video. Okay, so now I'm going to set the project. So right here I have a new project open from PyCharm, and right here is my new project. I just named it Python Project 2, and I'm going to create some folders and some different things that we need. So the first thing I'm going to create is I'm going to create a directory, and I'm going to name it features. And then I'm going to create another directory under our main directory. And then I'm going to name this one test. And then under features, I'm going to name a directory. I'm going to name it steps. And then now I have my main structure. And now I just have to fill in the different files. So in steps, we have a Python file, which will basically specify each of the step definitions. So I'm going to name it steps.py. And then we'll also have a few feature files, but I'll add that later. Let me add the Python files first. So under here, I'll also create another file. This will be an environment file. So environment.py. And this will actually be under features. So I'm going to refactor that. And then under test, I'm going to create another Python file, which I'll name test_run.py. So this is what I have right here. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill in these Python scripts, and I'm going to create some feature files so that I can show you how to run it. But before I do that, let me install a few packages. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to open up a terminal, and I'm just going to pip install Selenium. So I already have installed here, but for you it'll look a little different. And then I'm also going to pip install Behave. And I have that installed as well. Okay, so now let me go and fill in each of these. I'm going to start with the environment one right here. and then I'll fill in the other ones after. So let me start with environment one. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two functions, the before scenario and after scenario. And this is a really simple one. This is a really simple script. So before scenario, I'm going to pass a context, and I'm going to pass a scenario. And then, so this is the before scenario, so we'll have the context driver, none. And then we'll have an after scenario. So define after scenario. Here, we'll create context. We'll pass a scenario. And we'll say if context driver, so if the driver is not none, then we'll just do context driver dot. So this is nothing special. This is basically setting the constant driver the variable, instantiating variable. And this one is basically closing the context driver after we're done with everything. So this is a very simple environment file. So now I can go ahead and close this. This is all I needed. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and make the testrun.py file. So again, this is another very simple file as well. First I'm going to do is I'm going to import some things. So from Behave, and I'm going to import main. We're going to import main as Behave underscore main. So we'll import that. And then if underscore name underscore is equal to main, actually do main, then we will call the behave main features. So this is what we have right here, and that's all we need. So go ahead and save this, and now that's all we needed. So now let's go ahead and work in the steps function. So before I do that, let me create a feature. So I'm going to go ahead and go to here under features, and I'm going to create a new file. And I'm going to name this golf.feature. And so this is a feature file for Cucumber Gherkin. And let me write some scenarios in here. So first is this feature, we'll name it golf feature. And then let me write a scenario. So this is the first scenario, golf feature. So let me write the first scenario. So this scenario, this is a keyword, and on Cucumber Gherkin, search for golf by name. That's the scenario we have. And so basically what we're going to do is we're going to say, given I open the browser, when I go to, I'm going to paste a URL over here. So when I go to this URL, and notice that this URL is something I'll be passing on later. So I have all these variables that I'm passing in these quotation marks. And this is important for later on when you see how I write the steps Python function. So when I go to this URL and I type Tiger Golf in the search box, then I should see golf course, Tiger Golf. So that's one scenario. So the next scenario I'm going to do is I'm going to do scenario, and this one is going to be search for golf country in country. And then I'm going to use the keywords. So given I open the browser, when I go to, I'll use this, and I select Canada in the drop-down list, then I should see golf course in the country Canada. So that's our scenario for this golf feature. So right here, I'm actually going to change this. There we go. So first scenario, second scenario with all the keywords that we need. So go ahead and save this. And now let's set up our steps.py. So in order to set this up, let's first import some statements that I'll copy and paste over. So I'll import these statements. Now let's account for each of these. So let's first create some functions to basically take the given tag in Cucumber Gherkin. So this given tag. So to do that, what you do is you use the @ sign and you do given, and then we do, this is the I open the browser. So this is what you're taking in. So given this happens, what you do is we'll create a definition called step imp, and we'll pass context into it. And then what we'll do is we'll do options is equal to WebDriver. So we'll instantiate the Chrome options. And then after that, we'll do context.driver is equal to WebDriver.Chrome. And then we'll pass options like that. So that's the given tag. Let's account for the when tag. So when, this will be the tag we're using, I go to, and then notice the specific syntax that I'm using right here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to change all of these into single quotation marks. I'm actually going to use single quotation marks on the outside here. And then now I'll use double quotation marks, and I'll use curly brackets to notify the variable that I'll be passing on to the function later. So this is what I have. When I go to URL, now we're going to do def step underscore imply. So this context URL, do context.driver.get URL, and then time.sleep 2 seconds. So notice how all these functions are named step, imply, and notice how for these tags, we're using the @ sign, and then once we're inside here, this is basically what we have in our Cucumber Gherkin file. So I go to this URL, and we actually have a double brackets around it, and then the variable URL right here. So now let me go and make the next one. So in our scenario, Cucumber scenarios, we use the and tag, but in the step function, we don't have an and tag. There's no @ and. Instead, we use another when. So we use multiple whens just to account for all the different and statements that we can have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another one. So this will be when. So when I type double brackets, let's put curly brackets in here, text. So this text will be another variable that we're passing in the search box. And then def will do step underscore imply context text. And then we'll do search box is equal to context dot driver dot find underscore elements by dot name. Actually, we'll do find element by dot name, and then this will be search string. So I'm actually gonna just copy and paste it so I don't make some errors. So we find the search box by the name of the element, and then in the search box, what we're doing is we're basically searching up this text that we passed in from here. So this gets passed into here, and then we get it here, and then we press the key return. So that's basically this first Cucumber Gherkin. So that's this when statement that we have. And I type in Tiger Golf in the search box. And this is basically what we're accounting for. So now then there's the then statement. So this is the then statement is what we're looking at next. So then I should see golf course Tiger Golf. So now I'm going to see, I'm going to create a then tag. So let me come down to here, create a at then, and then I'm just gonna, for the sake of this video, now that we're getting a hang of it, I'm gonna go a little bit quicker now. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste this here. So basically, again, I have this variable in here, and then now I'm gonna come back down here, and I'm going to create a def step underscore imply. I'm passing the context, and I'm passing the text as well. And then I create this function, and then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find this element, specific element, that is the results of the page at this place right here. And then I'm going to assert that this text is equal to this text, and then I'm going to quit after, if that's right. So this is for the first scenario right here. Let me write some more for the second scenario, and then we can run it. So the second scenario. So let me go ahead and write it for the second scenario. So I'm going to go through second scenario. So for the given statement, I already accounted for that. So now we have to account for the when statements and then the then statement. So if I go back to my code, let me put I like to put all the when statements together. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do some more when statements. So for example, the next one we're gonna do is when I select this text in the drop-down list, and then we're gonna create a function, and then it'll be this. I'll basically have this function. So I'll have the country box, and then basically search for the country box, and then I'll send this into the drop-down list, and then I'll find this, and then I'll click it. So that's the next scenario. And then the next one is, and I select Canada in the drop-down list. So this is for the drop-down list. There we go. Now I'm going to account for this final then statement. Then I should see golf course in the country Canada. So now let's go to this. So I'm going to create a tag basically. So this will be the next then statement then. So down here, create a tag. Then I should see golf course in the country with this text, which we'll be passing in, which is Canada. It gets passed to here. We grab this element and we assert if these elements are true. So now let me save this, and we can look at this. If we account for every single statement in the second cucumber, we know that these two are the same, so I don't have to create the same one again, and it's just this one. So that's why we have 3 when statements here. So 1, 2, 3, and then 2 thens, and then 1 given, because it's the same for both. So let me go ahead and run this. So to run this, I can just do Python, and then the directory is test, and then we'll do test underscore run.py. Go ahead and click run. So it reads the scenarios, and I'm just going to drag this over because it opened on my other browser, and it goes through the scenarios. So this is the first scenario. Given I open the browser, when I go to this URL and I type Tiger Golf in the search box, then I should see the golf course Tiger Golf. And that's what it just tested for. And we'll give it some time to run and load. So now it's loading for the second one. Again, it's loading on my second window, so I'm not going to drag over this time. But we see that it's going through each of the cucumber gherkin text lines. Give it some time to load. And there we go. So we see that all 8 steps have passed, 2 scenarios have passed, 1 feature passed, and none failed. So this is basically the golf feature. So 1 golf feature passed, 2 scenarios in the golf feature, and then 8 steps within the total file. So this is golf feature. I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to change the name of this so that when we add another feature, it doesn't run again, because I just want to see the new feature. So I'm going to go ahead and refactor, rename, and I'm just going to do like t.feature or something. Refactor that. Now this won't run when we run this again. So I'm actually going to add another feature file under features. And I'm going to name this login.feature. And this time I'm going to go a little bit faster because I just want to show you how this works. We already know how it's worked from the previous video, so I'm just going to paste this over. So I have a new feature called login feature. I have a scenario, login with username and password. So given I open the browser, when I go to this URL and I type in this and this in the boxes, then I click on login. So let me implement this. So looking at this Cucumber feature, we know that first, this given we already accounted for earlier, and this when we accounted for earlier too. So I just need to create two more for this and. I type in this and then this then tag. So let me go to my steps function again. So go back to here. So we need to create another when. So I will go ahead and do that. So let me create the when tag. So when I type in these two variables into the boxes, and then I'll create the function, what happens afterwards. Then what we'll do is we'll find the email and the password, and then we'll send these two Texas variables into those keys. Next, I will have another then statement. So let me do this. So the next one should be then I click login. So I create then I click on login, and then this will basically be this. So I'll click login is equal to this, and I'll click login, and I'll quit the driver. Okay, so let me go ahead and run this again. So scenario, login with username and password. Given I open the browser, so it's opening the browser. When I go to this URL and I type in these two things into the boxes, then I click on login. So that will go ahead and run. Give some time. It should finish successfully. And it's taking a little bit longer. It's saying it's created TensorFlow Lite, delegate for CPU, but just loading on the other side. So, but yeah, there we go. It's done running. So and there we go. So this one took a little bit longer to run. It took 1 minute and 8 seconds. And we see one feature pass, one scenario pass, and 4 steps passed. And so that's with another feature. So that's the golf login. So we have the golf feature, which we changed the Teague feature so it wouldn't run. And then we have the login feature. If you want to run them both at the same time, they just have to have the same ending dot feature, and then you can run them both at the same time. So that's the video today for behavior-driven development using Cucumber Gherkin. If you found this video helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you next time.